How to play Concordia. Setup. First, lay out the board. It is double-sided, so use this side for 3 to 5 players and this side for 2 to 4 players. Take the city tiles letter side up and place them on the corresponding letters on the board. On the smaller board, the D's will not be used. Then flip them all face up to their good side. The land is divided up into different areas called provinces. For each province, identify the most valuable good located in it. The values of the goods are found on the player boards. A bonus marker of that type is placed for the corresponding province on the bonus marker section of the game board. Take the cards with Roman numerals on the back and sort them according to number. Remove any cards with a number higher than your player count. For example, in a 4-player game, you wouldn't play with these. Each stack is shuffled separately and formed into one deck with the largest number on the bottom. Display the top cards into this area and the rest of the deck is placed nearby. On the back of every player board is a guide to what you start with. Every player will start with 15 buildings, their hand of 7 cards, their score marker in 0, 1 land colonist and 1 sea colonist in Roma. On their player board, they'll put the remaining 4 colonists and 1 of every type of good with 2 food. Determine the start player. They will receive 5 coins and each player clockwise will receive additional coins. The player who goes last gets the Prefectus Magnus card. A player's turn consists of playing exactly 1 card from their hand and then doing what it says. Play then continues clockwise until 1 of 2 ending conditions is met. The first is if a player takes the last card from the display. The second is if a player builds their 15th building. Either way, that player gets a Concordia card, which is worth 7 points. Each other player will receive exactly 1 more turn, and then the game immediately ends. At the end of the game, players score points based off of ancient gods on the bottom of their cards. This will be explained later. Now, let's go over the different cards you can play and what they do. The Architect allows players to move their colonists and then build buildings and cities next to their colonists. Land colonists can only be moved along brown lines, and sea colonists can only be moved along blue lines. The number of colonists a player has on the board determines the number of movement steps that player has. Because you start with 2 colonists, your movement will start at 2. These can be taken by just 1 colonist or split up however you choose. A colonist's movement out of a city will be to the line touching it, and additional movements will be on the paths between cities. You cannot end your movement on a path another colonist is, but you can move through them. After you're done moving, you may build buildings in all cities adjacent to any of your colonists. The cost to build that building depends on the type of city you're building on. A brick city will cost you 1 wheat and 1 coin. Any other type of city will cost you 1 brick plus 1 resource of that city's type plus an increasing number of coins. Players may never build on Roma or a city that already has one of their own buildings. To build a building in a city that already has another player's building on it, you will need to pay just regular resource costs plus the number of coins times the number of buildings that will be there. For example, blue could build here for 1 brick, 1 wine, and 4 times 2 or 8 coins, and could build here for 1 brick, 1 wheat, and 2 times 3 or 6 coins. The Prefect Cards allow you to gain resources or coins. When you play it, you may immediately flip over a bonus tile showing a good, and then receive 1 of that good. If you have the Prefectus Magnus card when you do this, you must get 2 of that good instead of 1, and must then pass the Prefectus Magnus card to the player on your right. Every city in the province you choose will then produce. For example, if the bonus tile of Umbria was flipped from its good side, then green would receive 2 wine, black would receive 2 wine and 1 brick, red would receive 1 wine, and blue would receive 1 brick. The other option you have when you play the Prefect card is to flip all the bonus tiles that are coin side up back to their good side. If you do, the only thing that happens is you receive all the money that was visible. In this example, you would receive 7 coins. Another way to gain coins and goods is from the Mercator card. When you play it, immediately receive the number of coins, 3 or 5, and then you may trade up to 2 types of goods. You may buy 2 types, sell 2 types, or buy 1 type and sell 1 type. When you buy and sell, you do for the prices on your player board. For example, if I play this, I would take 3 coins from the bank and pick 2 resources, food and cloth for example. I could then buy and sell as many food and cloth as I have money and space for. So I could sell 2 cloth for 14 coins and then buy 3 food for 4 coins each. Note, your storehouse has limited space. If you were to gain a good but have no room, they are lost. You cannot discard goods to make room for them. Playing another colonist to the board can free up more space. These specialist cards, when played, will produce resources only for you for each city of that type you have a building in. Goods are used for building buildings, but are also used for purchasing cards. The Senator card allows you to buy up to 2 new cards on display and put them directly into your hand. To do so, you must pay the cost in red on the cards as well as any goods beneath it. For example, this one will cost me 1 food and 1 resource of my choice. This one will cost me 1 brick, 1 food, and 1 cloth. When you take the cards immediately shift to the left and you replenish from the top of the deck. The Council card also allows you to take 1 card, paying only the cost in red, nothing beneath it. Cards are once again shifted down. The Diplomat card copies the top card of any other player's discard pile. In this example, I could use it as a Mercator or a Senator. The Diplomat cannot be used to copy another Diplomat or a Tribune. You might notice that eventually you'll run short on cards in your hand. This is where the Tribune comes in. When you play it, take it and all the other cards you played and put them back into your hand. For each card past the third picked up this way, receive 1 coin. For example, if I play this now and picked up 7 cards into my hand, I would get 4 coins. Additionally, when you play the Tribune, you may pay a food and a tool to place one of your colonists into Roma. Playing a colonist card is another way to place new colonists on the board, by paying 1 food and 1 tool per colonist placed. Alternatively, you may also play this card to get 5 coins plus 1 coin per colonist you already have out on the board. At the end of the game, players will tally up their scores. They will keep track of their score by moving their score marker along the outside of the game board. Players will organize their cards according to the gods they have on the bottom. Each will be discussed now. Veste. Veste will score you 1 point for every 10 coins you have. Goods left on your player board are traded in at their market value before you tally your coins. In Red's case, they would trade in these goods for 24 coins, giving them 37 coins total and thus 3 points for the Veste card. Jupiter. Each Jupiter card will give you 1 point for each non-brick city you have a building in. In Red's case, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-brick cities, and thus each Jupiter card will be worth 5 points. Saturn. Each Saturn card will be worth 1 point for every province a player has at least 1 building in. In Red's case, they have a building in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different provinces. Therefore, each Saturn card will be worth 5 points. Mercury. Each Mercury card will give a player 2 points for each city type they built in. In Red's case, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of cities they've built in, so each Mercury card will be worth 8 points. Mars. Each Mars card is worth 2 points for every colonist the player has on the board. In Red's case, they have 4 colonists on the board, so each Mars card will be worth 8 points for them. Minerva. Every Minerva card will give the player a certain number of points per certain type of city they have a building on. In Red's case, they will get 3 points for every food city they have, so a total of 6 points. The player with the most points at the end wins. In case of a tie, the tied player who has the Prefectus Magnus, or who would be the next player to have the Prefectus Magnus card, wins the game. That is how you play Concordia.